Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over what we can expect for the next few weeks, which we will be tracking the potential for severe weather during the next couple of days, which we will have chances for all hazards, including the potential for a couple of stronger tornadoes by the time we get into the next few days. So make sure to be on high alert if you do live anywhere across Dixie Alley and to parts there of the South Central, which does include Texas. So make sure you are being on high alert during the next few days in that area. And then after that, we will be tracking the potential for a huge pattern change by the time we get into January, which we could be seeing more in the way of snowfall and, of course, even more shots of cold air. So make sure to stay tuned till the end so that way you guys know what and all to expect as we get into January. So make sure to subscribe down below so that way you guys don't miss out on any future weather videos and so that you can stay informed on this channel. Don't forget to leave a like too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. Feel free to leave anything down below and I'll get to those right after today's weather forecast. But let's first start off by going over the severe weather threat for today. And as you guys can see, we are going to be tracking the potential for severe weather across eastern Texas, back up there into Arkansas, and as well as parts there of central and as well as western Louisiana. And the main concern for today will be that risk for a couple of tornadoes, as we do have a pretty big area in brown, which does indicate a 5% risk for tornadoes within 25 miles of any given location. So obviously not looking to be anything in the way of a severe weather outbreak, but definitely going to be high enough to where you will need to have your tornado action plan in place just in case, as we will need to watch a lot of that area very closely. Now, if we go live for this today, it's still going to remain very uncertain, but it's definitely possible, especially if things do start to ramp up this afternoon and as well as this evening. And then for the hail threat, we do actually have a risk for some large hail. Now, hail won't be the main concern, especially because the yellow color does not include as much area, but we will still need to watch for at least anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half in diameter hail as we get into this afternoon and as well as this evening. And then for the wind threat, we will have some chances for winds between 60 to 70 miles per hour across that entire area. So we will need to watch for all hazards in play, including a chance for a couple of tornadoes. So like I said, make sure to have your tornado action plan in place just in case, as a few tornadoes does appear likely for today. And that's mainly because significant tornado parameters are going to be very high. We're talking a level 8 out of 10 at the highest, especially where you see that dark pink color. So we will need to watch southeast Texas very closely as we had throughout today. And the reason why I'm saying southeast Texas is because that's where the highest significant tornado parameters are currently shown on this model. Now, that doesn't mean you should ignore this entire area. You should still be on high alert even if you live in southern Arkansas. It's just that the highest chance of a tornado occurring will be down here towards parts of southeast Texas and perhaps into parts there Louisiana. So make sure you are being on very high alert as a few tornadoes will be possible. And like I said, there will be a chance we may go live for today, but it's obviously not a guarantee as this is a low enough threat to where it might be a bust, but we will see what happens. And then by the time we get into tomorrow, which will be for your Friday, we will be tracking even another day of severe weather as we will have chances for all hazards once again. It's going to be pretty marginal though overall for tomorrow, so we probably won't need to worry about tomorrow as much. And it looks like the chances of this getting upgraded are going to be extremely low given the fact that it does include an extremely small area. But you should still at least be watching the weather very closely and of course having your tornado action plan in place just in case, as a few isolated tornadoes will be possible as we get into tomorrow. So make sure you are being on high alert if you live in southern Mississippi or even parts there of southern Louisiana. Otherwise, not really looking to be as bad as a day, but we will definitely continue to watch it very closely as we will still have a little bit of significant tornado parameters around. And then by the time we get into the weekend, which will be for your Saturday, we will have plenty of moisture, energy, and as well as wind shear to support severe weather once again, as we are going to be tracking another pretty big day for severe weather, especially across eastern Texas, back into northern and central Louisiana, southern Arkansas, Mississippi, and as well as Alabama. So this does include more area, unfortunately, as we get into the weekend. So if you do have any plans on Saturday this weekend, you need to make sure you are being on high alert once again, as we could be seeing all hazards in play. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has not issued the hazards yet, so whatever we see is obviously going to remain uncertain, but it's still going to be very possible we might see a similar situation as what it could be like today. So we will need to watch the weekend very closely, as a few tornadoes does appear possible once again, and that's mainly because we will have some significant tornado parameters around across that area, which does look to be a little bit lower, but things could still change though as we get into the weekend, so it is going to remain uncertain, but it's definitely something to really keep an eye on closely, as we still could be talking about some severe weather. And then after that, and as we get into New Year's Eve, we will be tracking a storm around as we get into New Year's Eve, and this is mainly just to let you guys know about what you can expect for New Year's Eve, which is, this really looks to be the only area that's going to be dealing with those stormy conditions on New Year's Eve. Most of you guys across the United States looks to be fine. It's mainly going to be the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes region, and even parts there of the Midwest that are going to see those chances for storms, and that's mainly because we are going to have a little bit of energy surging on in. It won't be much, but pretty much this entire corridor right here will have some opportunities for showers and even a few thunderstorms by the time we get into New Year's Eve, and of course those thunderstorms are even going to be more on the isolated side of things, as you can probably tell, so we will need to watch it, like I said, but things do not look to be as crazy as we get into New Year's Eve, so most of you guys will be fine, as conditions are not really looking to be favorable for severe weather, so no severe weather expected as we get into New Year's Eve, thankfully. So like I said, most of you guys should be fine, but it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on, as things could still change as we are still heading over 4 days out. And then let's also talk about January, which this is going to be right after New Year's Eve, and we're pretty much looking from January 1st all the way to January 31st, so pretty much from the beginning to the very end of January for your total snowfall. And most of you guys should see a pretty snowy and cold January across the United States. Now, areas south of the Midwest are obviously still going to be very questionable. That does include places like Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Those areas are still going to be very questionable as we get into January, but I do think most areas east of the Rocky Mountains, so places like the northern and central plains, Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and as well as parts there of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, will still have some chances for snowfall, as most areas should see greater than a half a foot of snowfall or greater than 6 inches of snowfall as we head throughout the month of January, as January is known for its snowy and cold conditions. So I do think we do have some pretty good shots of seeing snowfall. Now, how much snowfall to be exact is still going to remain uncertain, but like I said, I am expecting most of those areas in the area that I just circled to see greater than 6 inches, so we will need to watch that area very closely. And then for the National Weather Service forecast, this is also just to show you that we could be seeing the chances for above normal precipitation as we get throughout the month of January, as the latest from the National Weather Service is forecasting above normal precipitation across those areas in the Great Lakes all the way back down into the lower Ohio Valley, while areas let's say south of the Midwest will likely be seeing those above normal temperatures, and as well as those areas along the coast. So definitely looking like a pretty interesting pattern, because like I said, those areas far down to the south are still going to remain very very questionable on if you guys will get any snowfall, as the National Weather Service is currently forecasting below average precipitation and as well as above normal temperatures, which probably means you won't see any snowfall, but it's definitely still something to watch for, as things could still change a lot as we get into January. But we will definitely continue to watch January closely, as it is going to be a very interesting month. And then if we also look at when we can expect our next snowstorm to roll on through, this is on January 2nd, guys. And surprisingly, the GFS model is actually showing a little bit of a snowstorm threat across Arkansas into Tennessee, and as well as certain parts there of Kentucky, guys. This is an area where we typically don't see snowfall, guys. I'm actually very surprised the GFS model is showing this. This is an area that typically don't see their first snowfall till the middle of January. So it is pretty unusual that we do see snowfall across this area. And like I said, for how I said that, that does point out that snowfall across that area is pretty unusual. So we will be watching that big band of snowfall as we get into January 2nd. So we'll definitely make sure you are paying attention if you live anywhere in central Arkansas, back up there into Tennessee, and as well as parts there of southern Kentucky. But that obviously could change, though, as we are still heading over 10 days out from that, but we will continue to watch it closely, as things could still be ramping up. And then our next snowstorm chance will be a little bit more common, especially because it's going to be across parts there of the Lower Ohio Valley, where we could be seeing maybe another shot of some snowfall. So places like Evansville, Louisville, back up there into parts there of Ohio, and as well as parts there of southern Illinois and southeast Missouri, may be an area to watch for as we get into the later part of January, which this one is currently shown on January 7th. I meant to say the middle of January, but we could still really see a snowstorm really anytime in January. Who really knows about that? But it's definitely something, like I said, to really keep an eye on, as the snowstorm chances are definitely going to start to ramp up. And then the last thing we're going to take a look at is your total rainfall, and as well as your total snowfall, as we will be tracking well above normal precipitation across the east, as widespread amounts between 2 to 4 inches does appear likely across a lot of this area. And same with the northwest, as we will have more atmospheric river events to really keep an eye on, so make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across the northwest. And then for your total snowfall, there's anywhere from now all the way to January 8th, where we will be tracking higher elevation snowfall across the west, while areas over here in the eastern United States, especially areas like the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, maybe even those two bands of snowfall across the lower Ohio Valley, and as well as the northern deep south rolling on through, because like I said, those will remain very questionable, but it's definitely very possible we could see that. So we'll definitely continue to watch it closely, and like I said, make sure to subscribe so that way you guys know what to expect, and so that way you can stay informed on this channel. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. Like I said, consider subscribing to the channel, as we will continue to keep you guys updated with the latest, and so that you can stay informed with the latest on the weather, especially as we get into January, as January does look to be a very cold and snowy month for most people. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. Feel free to leave anything down below, and I'll get to those comments in just a second. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week, and I even hope you guys all have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye everyone, and we will see you in the next one.